This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Now that Donald Trump has absolutely overtaken the Republican Party, made it a family affair, installing his daughter-in-law, the know-nothing, do-nothing, zero-experience daughter-in-law, as the co-chair of the Republican National Committee, they are now slashing budgets. They are now slashing payroll. They are firing dozens and dozens and dozens of people. You've heard all this. But now insiders, Republican insiders, we're not talking about critics of Donald Trump. We're not talking about critics of the Republican Party. They're calling his efforts at the RNC, make the RNC white again. Cutting programs that would do outreach to try to bolster the vote in traditionally non-Republican demographics. Who's surprised by this? Here's the article from the Daily Beast. Here's the headline. Make the RNC white again. GOP ends minority outreach program. With Trump allies taking over the RNC and cleaning house, one of the casualties was a minority outreach program that seems to be working for Republicans. You see, in recent years, they've made inroads. After the 2012 election, the Republican Party put out like a white paper or a research document about what their strategy was going to be moving forward after having lost that race in 2012 to Barack Obama. And largely it was, we need to appeal to Latinos. That's who we need to go after and try to sell them a message that will have them come over and start voting Republican. And that was absolutely done away with as soon as Donald Trump came on the scene and started his overtaking of the Republican Party, started weaving his greasy tentacles in there to try to take everything over. And now the money-making operation that needs to fund his legal woes and his campaign solely because money is just not around anymore relative to the campaigns. They're doing away with those very programs that would maybe give him some semblance of a chance to win an election. After years of accusations of financial mismanagement, the Republican National Committee is overhauling its 2024 election operations. A full-on MAGA makeover that the RNC claims will curb excessive spending and steer as much money possible to supporting Donald Trump's campaign. But it appears that one of those strategic spending moves may have a profound effect on a successful minority outreach program, which two people with knowledge of the plans characterized as self-defeating, potentially erasing gains with groups of getting new voters who have cooled on the Democratic Party. As one of the sources put it to the Daily Beast, the tagline might as well be, "Make the RNC white again." You see, this has been something I've talked about for a long time, that Donald Trump doesn't really care about winning. I mean, he certainly would love to have the trappings of the power of the presidency of the United States again. But if he can make a grift out of this, not being president, not actually have to do that, he will do it. If there's money to be had, money to be stolen, money to be misappropriated, he's there for it. It doesn't have to be the presidency. And this is more evidence of that why would you do away with programs that were working? I mean, look, it doesn't make me sad. I'm glad the Republicans are going to be falling on their face. This is self-sabotage, which, makes me gleeful when the Republicans sabotage themselves. But what's the end game here? I think we all know the end game is to enrich Donald Trump. The program at issue is an initiative from the 2022 midterms when Republican National Committee field staff engaged voters through gatherings and held events at community centers in areas with heavy minority populations, most specifically Latino communities, as I mentioned earlier. In January, the Messenger reported that the RNC had already shuttered most of nearly 24 Hispanic community centers that served as a base for the program, leaving just 5 open. At the time, however, the RNC chalked the closures up as a temporary byproduct of its budget cycle. However, the organization also announced that it was preparing to double down on those efforts for 2024, opening 40 new centers in Latino, Black, Asian American, Native American, Jewish, and veteran communities across the country. That would include establishing outposts in key battlegrounds like Las Vegas, Nevada, Tucson, Arizona, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Allentown, Pennsylvania. This is all reported by the Shuttered Messenger. So take note of those states. Those were battleground states. Those were the problematic states for Donald Trump in 2020. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona. And now they're abandoning those efforts, especially in states where the margin of victory in those particular races was so slim. Republicans will continue to make historic investments in Hispanic voter outreach, from opening more community centers to launching Despacito tu Voto, that will further our gains with Hispanic voters and deliver Republican victories in 2024. Flores said at the time, this Jamie Flores lady. But two people with knowledge of the plans told the Daily Beast that the RNC has decided to scrap that effort. Instead, the people said, the community center program now appears to be another casualty of the RNC's recent restructuring. I don't know why they're not saying Donald Trump's recent restructuring of the RNC when he took it over and imposed his family upon the organization. A bloodbath that has already claimed several dozen jobs, including senior leadership posts, along with the apparent decimation of field operations and other strategic realignments, that could come at the cost of the Republican candidates across the country, not fortunate enough to be named Trump. Instead of going after minority voters, the RNC apparently plans to remake itself even more in Trump's image, which is unfortunate for anybody who looks at Donald Trump and knows what his image is. And that's coming from me, a guy who looks like this. What's the end goal here? Is it really to just make the Republican Party as wide as they can? I mean, that's been the goal. That's been the objective. That's certainly been the outcome for the past 50, 60 years. But what are they doing? It is to funnel mountains of money into Donald Trump's campaign coffers specifically, so he can have the latitude to do with it as he pleases, up to and including what? I mean, pay his legal bills, certainly. But, you know, if we know anything from what we've witnessed over the course of Donald Trump's position as a political person, from his inaugural committee on down, it is to misappropriate, it is to misuse, it is to line his pockets and enrich himself with monies from donors. Even though I'm really rich, I don't need anybody's money. I'm self-funding my campaign. How quickly did that last? And still, we have a massive cross-section of the Republican Party that is willing to give of their treasure to a guy who already claims to be worth $10,000 million. You can't make it up. This is just bananas that these people will just bend the knee and be obsequious yes men and lapdogs to Donald Trump. Make the RNC more white again. What do you think? I'd love to know. You can talk about it in the comments below. We can have a conversation there. You can also call and leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I would love to hear from you. If I bring you value, I would love it if you would consider supporting this work, but only if I'm your flavor of political commentator. If there's somebody else out there on this platform that does more for you than I do, support them. There's a ton of creators in this independent media space who do a great job. And if they are for you, support them. That $2 a month means a lot to a lot of people, including me. So if I am that guy for you, click the join button below this YouTube video, become a channel member for $2 a month. You can go over to my Patreon page, which is even better because they take way less of a cut. Patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. But you can buy some merch. Make sure you're subscribed. I just crossed 600,000 and now I guess I'm looking over the hill at 700,000 or whatever. So I appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Until I do, be genuine and take care of one another.